Okay, this is our discussion two, Kathy Schrock's Guide to Everything. And the first two tools I selected were virtual reality and sketchnoting in the class. First is virtual reality. And virtual reality is a tool used to stimulate bits of our world using high performance technology and equipment like headsets and controllers. It is a way to experience a virtual world and things that do not actually exist around you. Virtual reality first, it started a while ago, but the major event in history was in 1989 by a computer scientist and musician named Jaron Lanier. He created the now preferred term virtual reality. His company, VPL Research, is responsible for creating the first virtual reality accessories, which were the headset and the glove. And he is referred to as the father of virtual reality. And since then, many individuals have contributed to the tool, transforming it in many ways. Virtual reality is a believable, interactive, 3D computer-created world that you can explore so you feel like you are really there, both mentally and physically. It is a way to learn and travel to an environment such as a historical event, a place across the globe, or a fantasy place. It is believable because by the images that surround you. It is interactive. As you move around, the VR world moves with you. It is computer generated. It is explorable because compared to a picture, you can explore multiple different scenes and really get a feel for the virtual world. And it is immersive because it engages your body and mind. The term virtual reality was first used, like I said, in 1989 by scientist Jaron Lanier, as he was the one who coined the term. It has been transformed in many ways since that, and new accessories have arrived to make the experience more lively and fun. VR can be used in the classroom for a multiple number of reasons. It allows students to see, visually interact, and touch different things, which leads to them gaining a better grasp on different concepts and environments that they otherwise would not fully understand. With virtual reality, you can travel across the world to many different places while simply being in the classroom. It is an alternative to actually traveling, which is expensive, and research has shown that we remember 20% of what we hear, 30% of what we see, and up to 90% of what we do or simulate. So with this, students learn better. And my next tool is sketchnoting in the classroom, which is a visual way to take notes. Students listen to the lecture while doodling or drawing images to coordinate with the words they are hearing. It's basically just a visual notebook full of pictures and cartoons that students draw. It's an alternative to note-taking. It's a way to express creativity, and it integrates students' artistic skills into different subjects. There's no real creator of this process, visual note-taking has existed forever, as long as we've known how to write. There are popular sketch noters like Mike Road and Sasha Chua and a bunch of other people. A quote that defines sketchnoting is that sketchnoting is a form of visual writing by expressive ideas, concepts, and important thoughts in a meaningful flow by listening, processing, and transferring what you hear by sketching either by analog or digital pictures. It's an alternative to the typical linear way most students take notes, and it requires students to learn how to visually communicate and express ideas from their minds and imagination. They combine their skills such as listening, thinking, and visualizing all at the same time. And unlike many subjects, besides like art and music. It allows students to access a lot of their creative part of their minds. No artistic level is required because it's personable to what students can do on their own. It's not being judged by other students. It combines skills to deepen the learning because when you use all these different skills, it sticks in the student's mind more, concepts, and it introduces students to the idea of visually communicating, as well as it is easily integrated into the classroom. This tool really challenges students because they have to really listen to the information being said around them. And with that, they have to interpret and decide what this information truly means. And it allows them to capture their inner mind and imagination and transform it onto paper. And yeah, that's basically
Okay.
how they.
So for discussion 2, the two that I chose are information literacy and hokey pokey. Information literacy is a set of skills to find, locate, analyze, and use information. It allows us to cope by giving us the skill to know when we need information and where to locate it effectively and efficiently. The ability to effectively locate, evaluate, organize, use, package, and present information effectively will become part of our normal work life. This tool is to help articulate a problem to be investigated, locate, and assemble information and gather resources, process and apply information towards a solution, and contemplate the effectiveness of the entire process. Information literacy forms the basis for lifelong learning. It is common to all disciplines, to all learning environments, and to all levels of education. It enables learners to master content and extend their investigations, become more self-directed, and assume greater control over their own learning. All information literate individuals are able to determine the extent of information needed, access the needed information effectively and efficiently, evaluate information and its sources critically, incorporate selected information into one's knowledge base, use information effectively to accomplish a specific purpose, and understand the economic, legal, and social issues surrounding the use of information and access and use information ethically and legally. Information literacy works with the higher education and provides a framework for assessing the information literate individual. It also extends their work to the American Association of School Librarians Task Force, providing higher education an opportunity to articulate its information literacy competencies with those of K through 12 graders. Students also will find the competencies useful because they provide students with a framework for gaining control over how they interact with information in their environment. It will help to sensitize them to the need to develop a metacognitive approach to learning, making them conscious of their explicit actions required for gathering, analyzing, and using information. Some disciplines may place greater emphasis on the mastery of competencies at certain points in the process, and therefore certain competencies would receive greater weight than others in any rubric for measurement. Finally, to complete the standards fully, an institution would first review its mission and educate goals to determine how information literacy would improve learning and enhance the institution's effectiveness. To facilitate acceptance of the content, faculty and staff develop it as their own learning mechanism. The next one that I did is called Hokey Pokey. And basically, it's the use of technology to support teaching and learning when it's no longer an option, it's a necessity. As an educator, you cannot afford to just put your right foot in and shake it all about. Scheduling part-time use in technology is not the answer. You need to learn to put your whole self in and take your whole self out. And this is all through pedagogy, sounding lessons that embed technology meaningfully, as well as allowing for the unintended and spontaneous use of the devices and the powerful applications that are here today. And those were the two that I did.
All right. So for my two tools, um, I decided to go with Google Tools and 3D printing. So starting off with Google Tools is a wait, one minute. Uh, Google Tools is basically sort of like an umbrella term for different extensions offered through Google Chrome. Uh, there's extensions. I mean, personally, I use 3 or 4, like one to annotate sources for my ego website, and I use another one called Grammarly, which automatically spells checks everything I do, not just for a Word document, but for use in the classroom. Google Tools is more used on the teaching aspect, not so much as from the students aspect. The teacher can sort of use Google Tools to create calendars. They can also use Google Tools to make their own presentations, their own documents, their own videos. Tools can be a little complicated, especially for the elementary school student. I know that it's we're in emerging. A lot of the classrooms are merging with technology, and a lot of students are growing up side by side with technology in the classroom. So it might be doable for a certain group of students. Google Tools is all, but also it can be used by students. It's not just purely for teachers. Google Tools has also a lot of different learning softwares. It has a lot of different extensions. Uh, Google Tools is great because as long as you have Google, you have access to it. And same thing if you have like a Gmail, you will automatically have a YouTube channel. If you use certain extensions through Google Chrome, or if you just have Google Chrome in the first place, you'll have access to all the Google tools that are available. And those range from anywhere from the weather to the expense report to doing a presentation to just creating a quick survey for your students. And then the other tool that I decided to do was 3D printing. And 3D printing is interesting because even though it's a fairly, it seems like a fairly new technology, it's actually been around since the 80s and has consistently become more and more compact. Originally, 3D printing was created for the hopes of replacing missing limbs, actually, but now has found itself in the classroom where it's used by a lot of uh, professors in the sort of math and science department because 3D printing is a good way to sort of bring concepts into reality. If you read about the biography of a cell or how a certain math equation is set up, you're not quite sure how that visually looks. And especially if you're a visual learner, you can use a 3D printer to literally bring that idea to life. You can make a 3D scale model of the inner workings of a cell, like the mitochondria and all that stuff. And 3D printing is also great because it gives students a way to sort of think that not as sort of the consumer of lesson tools and models, but it also gives students the opportunity to be the creator rather than the consumer, which is always an uphill battle with students. And so yeah, those were my two tools for discussion two.
Okay.
Cool.